Did you know that despite making up 50% of sellers, women hold just 30% of the sales leadership roles? It's not a pipeline problem. That's a promotion problem. Welcome to the Women in Sales Leadership podcast, where we make the new rules of success for high-performing women in sales. And I'm your host, Amy Evans, sales leader turned executive coach. After 25 years in the trenches at Salesforce, EDP, and startups, I now help ambitious sales managers step into second-line leadership roles. If you are ready to lead with authority, earn what you're worth, and make a bigger impact, you are in the right place. Click follow so the next episode will be waiting for you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Women in Sales Leadership. I'm your host, Amy Evans, and our guest today is someone who has turned her own challenge into a company that's changing lives. So when Melissa Blatt left the corporate world to become self-employed, she ran headfirst into one of the biggest pain points that independent professionals face, which is healthcare. And this is an issue that stops people from going out on their own often, is this concept of healthcare. And instead of accepting that the system is just going to be what it is, Melissa decided to build something better. She founded indipop, which is a platform that helps the independent population, right? People who are working independently, freelancers, consultants, solopreneurs, small business owners, access high value healthcare options that are actually affordable and make sense. Go figure. So Melissa, it's so exciting to have you on the show. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want you to take me back to what led to you launching this business. You saw a problem. Obviously, just like take me back to that moment of transition where what was happening in your life that made you say, I'm gonna go out on my own, and what led you to this problem of healthcare for the self-employed. Tell me that.
It was my own personal experience when in 2019 that I decided to become a fractional biz dev person, and I was really excited because I had more freedom to choose the people that I wanted to work with and do what I really wanted to do. And one thing that I never even thought would be an issue was going to be healthcare.
Right.
And I was really excited to go into healthcare.gov because I saw the commercials that said, $10 plans. So I was like,
were they really $10?
I really don't know what I was expecting. I really thought that it was, I had healthcare for so many years, health insurance, I should say, through a company that I didn't even know what it was going to be like as a self-employed person, because for the last 20 years I was employed. So I put all my details in, and insurance with the marketplace, they're going to ask you questions like your age, because as you get older, it gets more expensive, and your location, because it's underwritten by zip code areas, and what is your employment status, and how much do you make? And so I took a guess. It was my first year as consulting doing this, that I was going to make a certain amount, and it was respectable, but it was under six figures. And it did the computation, and I was like, okay, what's it going to be? And I had shock because I was presented with a bronze HMO with a $9,000 deductible. And for those that don't know what an HMO is, it's, you have to see your primary care doctor to get referrals to see specialists. And those doctors weren't in the network that I was used to. So it was shock. And it was also disappointment. It was also frustration because I was on the older side in life. Like I knew I need healthcare. And for the first time, I went, whoa, wait, do I have to actually stay with a company now? Can I even do this? And it weighed on me for a while. And so I was just asking around to my self-employed and my freelancing friends, hey, what do you guys do for healthcare? And they were laughing at me like, yeah, we pay the most. I'm like, why is this Why are we standing for that? Why is this okay? Why is this okay? Why do we pay the most? Yeah. So I started doing research, into just our healthcare system. Like, what is insurance? What is Obamacare? How did we get here? Because it really didn't touch me until I was experiencing this. And that's when I learned there's another model out there that's just not as mainstream. And I decided to take a leap and try it. And I never looked back, actually. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk more of that, because unless you've been out on the healthcare exchange, on Obamacare, like this big, I don't know how to describe it to somebody that hasn't seen it, because this is what I use, right? I run my own business. This is how I get my healthcare, and it's like it's kind of like an Amazon shopping experience, only not as user friendly or as straightforward or transparent. I don't know how else to describe it that way. You are only presented with a certain set of options that the system thinks are best for you, and there's no ability to go and look and see, like, how is this plan good for me or not, and how does it compare?
Right.
And yeah, what do people who are on this plan have to say, right? You're talking about spending, I mean, let's see, anywhere from $1,500 to $1,700 a month on healthcare for yourself. And this is the kind of tool that we're presented with, is this like kind of backwards, not a lot of information tool on one of the most important decisions you're going to make every year.
So yes, you called it's complex. And if you don't know what the terminology is, or you don't know how to read it, like, okay, there's co-insurance, maybe 80-20 or 50-50. Well, what is that going to play a part?
Yes.
How does that play a part? Or nobody plans for an ER visit. Nobody knows if their appendix is going to, need to be removed in the year. And if you do, please call me, because you must be psychic and I need you. Nobody knows that, they're like, I broke my own ankle in my own home doing something silly. Like, it was not planned, but the way that these insurance policies are kind of written, if you don't know what to look for, you can overlook it and then end up with an extreme, like a surprise bill. So take, for example, ER visits. Just look in your policy to see if you're 100% responsible for an ER visit.
Yeah.
Just, it would say 100% responsibility, or that you have a copay. What is the copay? Or that you have to reach your deductible. Even that simple can help you understand just don't look for the premium and what you can afford monthly and your deductible. Look to see what's inside of it. How are you capped at, how many provider visits you have? If you go out of network, do you have a cap? I mean, these are things that just could be really useful to help mitigate some surprise bills.
Yeah. I mean, Melissa, I was in the healthcare, like employee benefits space. Now, I was on the technology side for like 10 years. And so I got to where in that time I was pretty dangerous with what I understood healthcare plans to be. I sold the technology that companies would use for open enrollment, and to enroll their people in their benefits. And that was quite revolutionary at the time when we were selling this stuff, because prior it was all done on paper, or, not very well managed, and a really big administrative nightmare. But, when I think about the fact that I spent a decade doing that stuff, I have a semblance of understanding of those plans. And I still have to get out to like AI tools to help learn how this plan is going to work and understand if it's going to work for me. Like, this is how complex it is. Yeah.
We work with a lot of providers, family practices. And I was talking to one of the COOs just a couple of weeks ago, and they have a group plan. And she told me it took her a week to review all three options. And she's been in this business forever, and it really does. You do have to pay attention and really read what is going into these insurance policies, to have an understanding of what your out-of-pocket spend could be, because medical debt is not fun, right?
No. And it adds up really fast. So let's talk about how things kind of really transformed and evolved to what you do now and the founding of Indipop and how this all works because this is different than
Right.
traditional health insurance. And I'd love for you to share more about
Yeah.
like why is it different? Why is it better? Yeah. Hey, quick break for a second. If you are a sales leader who is ready for your next step up, and I'm talking about leading other sales leaders, becoming a director, a VP, even a CRO, then this is for you. I'm hosting a free workshop. You can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. This is for sales leaders who are in tech and are wanting to land jobs where you can earn anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a year. And again, you can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. Okay, back to the show.
So the name you and those listening may have heard these terms before: health sharing, cost sharing. We call them membership-based healthcare or subscription-based plans, and I think many people are used to now having subscriptions, so it's not so alarming to have your healthcare as a subscription. But the model is a little different. And what we do at Indipop is we curated very specific memberships, healthcare memberships, according to what meets our needs. So if I wouldn't enroll in it or join it, I probably am not going to have it in our marketplace.
Okay.
And we've built relationships with these healthcare companies over the last 5 years. So we have a really good understanding of how they work, and we're able to help escalate and help keep everything on track if it's still healthcare. Like, we don't have control over the healthcare system, so it's a massive. There's just many moving parts, but let's go into it. Ready to go into the weeds of healthcare memberships?
Yes,
Okay.
because I just this is foreign
Yeah.
territory for me. Like I've only known health insurance, which is funny. I hear you say membership and you're describing
Yeah.
a monthly. I'm like, I already pay monthly
Right.
premiums.
Right.
Like I have a membership and insurance plan, if you will. But this is different. I can tell just by the way you're talking about
it. It is different. So it is not. It's not insurance. Insurance is the transfer of risk, where you have pools of people that have underwriting, and this model is it's based on fair medical pricing. So if you have an understanding that there is actually a true cost for care for having your gallbladder removed, going to the dermatologist, and by zip code. So that if you were able to do a cash pay rate to your doctor, if you didn't even have insurance, what would you be responsible for? Not the contracted rate that insurance contracts with the doctor. It's different. So everything is based on fair medical pricing, which is very transparent. And each health share has a fund that's being managed. And so you're becoming a member of a community or group that shares the cost of medical needs. So they have a really good understanding. If 1,000 people join, how many will break their leg? How many will have a baby? How many even would have cancer? And that's how they keep the rate, or your monthly membership, to have an idea of what it costs for your monthly to go into this pool and keep this pool healthy, so it's there amongst the community when you need it. So each health share runs it a little differently, and some offer different services or benefits. So we have one that we call the basic plan, which is, it's really there for high cost medical. And so if you're under 30, it could be in the rate of $100 to $150 to $200 a month, but you have a set transparent rate of what your responsibility will be if you end up breaking your leg. And typically it's $1,000 or $2,500. You choose which one. And that's very different, having an understanding of what your responsibility is out of pocket for a medical bill than having a deductible, coinsurance, and max out of pocket. Most people say to me after surgery or having a baby, they're still getting claims or bills in the mail a year later after that procedure. oh, your anesthesiologist wasn't in network, so you're going to have to appeal that. Like, it's just constant, there's just, you're getting hit from so many different directions. Whereas these health shares have medical advocates that are on your side, helping you navigate a massive healthcare system to help you keep your costs as close to zero as possible. So they're on your side and they're helping you negotiate, but you have a set transparent rate for that high cost medical. Now, some of the health shares will actually have routine care included and you might have a copay. And so it just depends, because we believe healthcare is not a one size fits all, that you should be able to pick or get fit or matched with the right membership for you. How do you use healthcare? Do you see integrative doctors, functional medicine doctors? Do you want to use an HSA? Do you want more just protection for high cost medical? So out of, these options, we have about 7 right now. And I think that is a pretty good number, because most people, if they're presented with 3, are like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, 3 is plenty for most of us to compare, right? Yeah. I guess, so I'm thinking about this a little bit out loud, and I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm running a monthly cost, and I mean, I already know what I pay. I pay $1,700 a month, and it's for me and my 2 teenage kids. And, but then there's a deductible on top of that. And I think it's like 7 or 8 grand. And then there's the co-insurance for, even if I go have a visit, like how much in the co-insurance is my obligation, right? Up until I hit the deductible. And sometimes even if I hit the max deductible, there's not 100% coverage on the plan. So that, if that sounds complicated to any of you who are listening, it is. Because you'd have to, I don't know how many spreadsheets you'd have to make to try to figure out like, okay, let's go through a scenario of, the likelihood of my teenage son breaking his arm in the year is probably pretty high. What would that end up costing me? Right. And so there's some amazing calculus that goes into figuring that out on the insurance side. If I'm on a membership plan, is it more straightforward, Melissa? Talk to me about the details there.
Yeah, it's more straightforward, depending on which option you move forward with. We have 2 types of, I guess, memberships. One that has, I'll go into, we don't have deductibles. So we're like anti-deductible. So I'll explain what that means. And for those that don't know what a deductible is, just short answer is the deductible in insurance is what you're responsible for before the insurance kicks in. So the deductible, if you have a $1,500 deductible and you break your leg, you are definitely responsible for the first $1,500, and then the insurance will negotiate and pay the remainder of your surgery. So we have something called an IUA, and it's an acronym which stands for Initial Unshareable Amount. And this is the amount that's not going to be shared with the group. It's your patient responsibility amount. And that is what you're going to owe if you break your leg, or let's say a dermatology visit turns into a high cost medical need. You know what your cap is going to be. So one of our plans has a $4,000 IUA, which means that is your max for the calendar year. A family is $6,000. And then we have the other type of healthcare membership that runs in increments of $1,000, $2,500, and $5,000. Just like a deductible, the higher the out-of-pocket, the lower your monthly. But the IUA on this particular membership is up to 3 times in a year. And so it's by medical need, not by calendar year. And that's the biggest difference. I think that's more fair, is that the deductible always resets at the beginning of the year. So if you're still being treated for the broken leg, let's say you went skiing in December, and now you need physical therapy and post-op care, what happened in the new year? Your deductible reset. On the IUA, it goes by medical need. So you're still being treated for the same medical need. You're not going to have to pay that IUA again in the new year.
Oh, wow. Right. Okay. A light bulb just went off for me. Okay.
Yeah. So people are like, oh, wow, now I get it. So if you're being treated for a dreadful disease and the treatment is 18 months, you're paying that IUA one time.
Got it.
You continue on your treatment plan. I will go into just go a little bit deeper, because many people out there might be like, oh my God, why isn't our whole system like this? It sounds too good to be true. And I do like to be very straightforward, is that there is a place in our society for insurance. I really do believe that, because this model is, although amazing, and it has been there, we've been doing business with them for 5 years, different health shares, and they've gone above and beyond. But if you can imagine, there is a fund being managed. And if somebody joined for November and they knew they had to have meniscus surgery or ACL surgery, they'd be depleting from the fund before they even put in. Right. So there has to be a 1 year pre-membership limitation of what is going to be shared with the group or community. And that means that if you knew, you have a pre-X and you need surgery right away, this is probably not going to be the best option for you, because
pre-existing condition is what you mean by
so
pre-X.
Now some pre-X, right? And I'm not going to go too far into every single condition, but there are a lot of excluded. High cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes is not considered a pre-X as long as you're medically managed. But I mean, we have people that have, that are under doctor's care that might be on medication, and it's a very low risk. Something could happen, but it's still a risk in the first year. The second year, all of our health shares will contribute up to $25,000 for that pre-existing condition. So you know your body the best. I don't know what's going on inside of your body. I don't know what you've discussed with your doctor, but this is where we're very transparent and honest. Think about, in the last, couple of years, have you been discussing something that's symptomatic? Are you in physical therapy right now for something like, and that's where you can decide, is this even an option that I need, that might even be a good fit? Or for the first year, it's just potentially too much of a high risk that I'll be paying out of pocket for something. So this is mostly, we discuss this a lot with people that are interested in this type of model, because it is something that I think it's a guideline that you have to read and you have to understand it. Yeah. In order for not to, have a surprise bill and you're like, wait, if I would have known. So we're telling you, read this.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, it sounds like, the biggest thing to know, and there's probably more than one, but is if you have a pre-existing condition and that, you need surgery or whatever, that a health share wouldn't be the best alternative for you in that situation, because of the need for a year of membership in the health share, right? Prior to being able to incur have a large medical incident covered, if you will. I don't. Right. I'm making my own words up.
But it's to protect the fund in the first year. So I'll give, pregnancy is a great one. Yeah. We have one plan, as long as you don't come on, you join. Am I saying this right? You didn't conceive at the time of that you enroll, is fine. So it's 9 months after you join. Mm-hmm. That's fine. But we have one plan that you have to wait 6 months to conceive. And that's a big guideline that we will ask a person that we're talking to. And we have this on, with our matching tools. We really think we should spell this out, that this is something you need to know. Pay attention to this. Right. That if you're family planning, this one might not be a good one for you to move forward with, because it wouldn't be shareable. We call it shareable, or insurance would say covered. We say shareable for the first year. Right. So this is where we have a lot of education, and it might sound confusing, but really it's just, hey, in the past 1 to 3 years, because we have one plan that does look back 3 years, what was your health history like? And if you say, oh, well, I had surgery 18 months ago, okay, well, then that you might want to consider in the last 2 years what it might not be a good fit for, one of the plans. I'm sorry, I'm not being very communicative right now. I'm trying to think of how to say this the best way.
This is complicated. Yeah. It's a little more complicated. Yeah, I get it.
It's not as hard as it seems. You just think about it, and we would say, okay, we have one health share that looks back 1 year. So you already passed the look back period. It's not considered pre-X. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Okay. Let's say you had a heart stent 18 months ago. Are you still under a doctor's care, or do you just see your cardiologist once a year? Yes. If it's been resolved and you're just seeing your cardiologist once a year, that's fine. So there are some nuances, and it's basically, are you still in ongoing treatment for something? I'll use an example of probably Crohn's. Crohn's is, you might, the likelihood that you could have a flare up in the first year you join it could be quite high. And that's where we caution, okay, this might not be the best option, because for that ER visit, you're going to be responsible for it. The cost share would negotiate on your behalf, but this is where we're very, honest about that.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody to incur these bills,
I hear you, though. I mean, notwithstanding, a pre-existing condition, it sounds as though it's still quite an extremely affordable alternative for people who don't have a condition like that. They're out of their childbearing years, like I am. Um,
But now they're in menopause years, and they're asking for hormone replacement therapy and things
yes.
like that. And so it just, things shift.
Yeah.
Every year we have like a theme of what, in the COVID years, it was mental health, and it's still, and I'm really, I think that's a great sign when our society is asking for, hey, I need support. Now,
Yes.
how do we offer that to make sure that you can stay with your mental health provider or have something that is at a low cost for you?
Yes.
The GLP-1, that was in the last 2 years. And now it's hormone replacement therapy. So we're working on a package for that, because I think it's so important that there is access to get the care you need, so you don't feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah. Well, or just not getting good health care, which is worse. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So look, now,
Yeah.
I think it sounds so fascinating that there's an alternative out there, because I wasn't even aware that there was something else. Like I thought the two choices were, you either pay a crap ton of money, which is an official sum, to be insured with not great insurance on the health exchange, or you decide to pay cash and buy like a disaster kind of policy, or God forbid you don't have insurance at all, which a lot of young people are out there doing because they're just gambling, saying, you know what,
Right.
I'm just going to count on the fact that I'm young and I'm healthy, and I don't work in I work in the gig economy. I can't afford, to pay these kinds of premiums all the time. Right.
So that's what happened with this year with the ACA, is the threshold for the subsidy went up, meaning people that might have gotten their subsidy last year, which lowered their premium, might not get it this year. Yeah. Which means it could be significantly, we've heard 42%. I talked to a family in Kentucky. It was going up $1,200 a month on top of the $1,200 they're paying already. So it's doubling. For families, this could be disastrous of what you can afford. And we're saying, okay, explore us. We are an option that you may not have ever heard of. And in some cases, we divide the family up, where if, one of the spouses needs a surgery or is under a doctor's care, then we will say, okay, you want to stay on your insurance, and then we'll have the other spouse and the kids go on one of our healthcare memberships. And it does make a difference in their finances. But that's what's happening with the ACA. They call it the cliff. And there's a calculator that I can send to you, to kind of see where you are with your income and earnings. And they call it, it's MAGI, which I don't know. I had the acronym, but I can't remember. It's your gross income, essentially.
Yeah.
And there are things, I'm going to say some things outside of our model, just so our listeners can also hear. You may want to explore a health savings account, compatible insurance plan where you put money into an HSA, and it's called a triple tax advantage. That could be really helpful. You compare that with a DPC, which is direct primary care. So you have access to your direct primary care provider. That could be an option for you. So outside of the health shares, there are some ways that, you can explore what may work for you and your finances. And the key thing that we hear from most people is, can I keep my provider? That is the top priority for most people. And every year it seems like networks change. And it's disastrous for the patient and the provider.
Okay. And Melissa, it's not just that they change, It's that the insurance website isn't even accurate with who's actually in the network. So at the time you're making your choices here, open enrollment, it's going to be in 2 weeks from when we're recording this right now. A lot of those doctors may have not renewed their contracts to stay as inside the network on that particular insurance, like Blue Cross. I'm just going to say this. I'm saying this happened for personal experience for me. And by law, in my state, the state of Georgia, there's no obligation for the insurance company to keep accurate, up-to-date records of who's in network and on their website. So the only way to know is to call and invest your sweet, precious time.
Confirm. Yeah, I confirm.
And you have to call the doctor's office.
Yeah.
That is the place you have to call. You
Yeah.
call your doctor's office and you say, I see here on this insurance company's website, they say you're a network. I just need to validate that you are. And I guarantee you that the person that's sitting there and billing knows at your doctor's office whether they're renewed the contract or not. But that is the only way to know for sure.
You're absolutely right. My sister-in-law just went through it with her little ones that needed immunizations and learned that it was Blue Cross. It was a different. Now, just because it's Blue Cross doesn't mean you have that plan that they accept.
Yes,
and that's what happened. It's pretty crazy. It really is frustrating because health is number one for all of us. And
you can't do anything if we're not healthy.
It's not accessible and if it's not affordable, then how do we function in our society with our preventive care and accessing care affordably? Like, what I love about this model is the access to virtual care that is really can start the process for you. Yeah. I'm just going to switch gears a little bit because I think it's very interesting when we run to the ER urgent care as our number one, like, because, I rolled my ankle. I'm just going to go to the ER, which is the most expensive way to do something. And a lot of these cost shares, you can use their virtual care, explain what happened. And if it's not broken. I mean, most people can tell if it's a break, a sprain, but
the
you're
level
like,
of pain that you're in.
Right. You're right. Something's not right. If it's your bone sticking out, it's a compound fracture. You better call an ambulance. But for many times, it could be with virtual care, you can explain, can you get an order to go to an imaging center, which is, I think you can get an x-ray for $15. And that is where they can help coordinate care, and it can save you so much time and so much money. And I think that's helping you route or navigate the system. I just had one of our members, she just shared with me that she woke up Friday, couldn't see in both eyes because of an infection. And she used one of the virtual care. It actually worsened a little bit. She had to go to urgent care, but she wrote to me and she's like, this is the best care I've ever had. Like, they were there for me every step of the way. And I mean, if you had insurance, you're most likely, I don't think an insurance company is going to guide you to tell you, okay, start with this and then we can elevate or get you over here. I think you're on your own. You're just
on your own. Yeah. You're fully on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, that's a whole nother conversation of how on your own you really are, of figuring it all out and having to stay on top of all of the hoops there are to jump through in order to get approved care that, may or may not be in network, especially if you're on HMO. Melissa, if I want to pause right here, because usually I say this at the end, but I can feel that if I was listening to us right now, I'd be wanting to know, like, how do I go find out and research more about you all? Like, let's talk about that. Where would somebody go?
We have a website. Indipop is spelled INDIPOP, and we're a .co. We're not a .com. Okay. And in the next couple of weeks, I don't know when this is going to be released, but we have a new AI tool that is going to help you be matched out of, depending on the state that you're in. We'll usually have at least hopefully 3 to 4 plans, I hope, in your state. Anyway, it also can compare against your insurance that you have to see, what your predictability is for your out of pocket. Because as you mentioned, that coinsurance is you really don't know. You don't think about it. You think about the deductible, like, oh, I have a $5,000 deductible. But if you have coinsurance, you might have the surgery, hit your 5,000, but then have coinsurance up until your max out of pocket, which could be 15,000.
Yep.
So these are the things that, just to point out, like, pay attention to it so that you really have a full understanding of what you're enrolling in and how much potentially you could be paying out of pocket. But indipop.co, and we have our tool will be on there. We also have compare charts. You can chat with us. We have a little chat bot called Poppy, which could be really helpful. And you could always book time with us. We're really here to help guide and have an educational conversation. It's not just about fitting you with a healthcare membership, but helping just provide more value while you're going through open enrollment to say, hey, is this right? Can I ask you a question about this? How would you read this? So yeah, we're happy to help.
Beautiful. Well, listen, I don't feel like we're done yet. I want to ask one more question before we sign off. And that is, you've been on this big journey since 2019, and you decided to launch this company and pursue this. What would have been some of the biggest learnings that you would say to, like, you're speaking to women who are in leadership, they're either sales leaders or they're entrepreneurs or founders. What are the things that you've learned that you feel like they should know?
Gosh, I've learned so much. And isn't that the whole point of life, is to keep growing and learning and take a chance and go outside your comfort zone? So I was 49 when I started Indipop, and I questioned myself, my age. And I think I've met women that are in their 40s that also are scared to make a big change or take on something new. And it's valid. But if you see something so clearly that you feel like you can help and make a difference, then we need you. And I'm encouraging you to try it and to take a leap. And I'm very blessed that I have a couple of people in my life that gave me the green light to say, you got to do this. You have to do this. And I said, I never had a startup before. And there's a lot to learn. And I make myself uncomfortable to learn things that are challenging. And that's growth. You're not going to know everything, and you're not going to know all the questions to ask. And that's okay. It's getting up and failing fast and learning it, and, trying to, just keep going. That's my motto. It's just small 2 words, is keep going. It's just keep going, pick yourself up, keep going. It is a roller coaster, and mentally I have to really work on it to just stay present and stay true to the mission, and show up every day and do something that I know is impacting people, because we've been doing it for 5 years, and it's really hearing from my members and how much they appreciate that. They're like, we never would have found this healthcare option if we didn't meet you, Melissa, or we didn't hear about Indipop. And that's something that really, I remember those days when we all have curveballs. That's life.
They are going to happen.
Yes. And so I encourage anyone that's on the fence to really, take a chance on yourself.
We're going to leave it at that. Melissa Blatt, what a pleasure it was to spend some time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Amy, it was really great. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining today. I know you're a super generous person, and a gift that you could give to someone you know, a friend, a colleague that you think would enjoy today's episode, would be to send them a text, share a link to this episode with them. I do produce this show myself, and every time you share it, it helps the podcast grow and it supports the work that I do here. Also, if you happen to be a sales leader who is ready to take your next step up into a leader of leaders role, whether it's via promotion or you're ready to go get that new job at a new company. I'm talking about director roles, VP roles, even CRO roles in B2B tech, where you can earn $500,000 to $1 million or more. The workshop I'm giving is an hour-long workshop. It's totally free. You'll learn the process that I teach my clients on how to effectively position themselves, effectively network, and own their executive presence so they can land the job and get hired and promoted into these big sales leadership roles in B2B tech. If this sounds like you, come grab your spot. It's waiting for you at my website, amyevanscoaching.com, where you can unlock what's next for you.